Amherst versus Milford. Let's be honest, everyone knows Souhegan High School hates Milford High School. Amherst looks down on Milford, Milford calls Amherst Glamhurst. But why? How did this feud start? Why do we hate Milford more than Hollis or Conval or Windham or any other high school in New Hampshire? Before Souhegan was built in 1992, people from Amherst, and let's not forget about Mount Vernon, went to Milford High School. So shouldn't we be friends, or at least have some sort of mutual respect for each other? What happened? I guess we have to go back to the history of Amherst, Milford, and Mount Vernon to find out where this never-ending gossip and rumors about Milford and Souhegan came from.
High school, I don't know, they're kind of weird. They're not like normal people.
I don't really like Milford. They have a bad rep with us because we have a rivalry, and now we have another rivalry with Hollis, but they've always just seemed kind of like and I don't really like them, especially at the football games, because there was that one game where they were throwing stuff at us and it was just bad. I don't like them at all.
I know a little bit about Milford over the years, especially through sports, and then when I hear people secondhand talking about and saying. And my sense is it's an older school than Souhegan, and it's more traditional, where there are bells and hall passes, and they call teachers Mr. and Mrs. and not by their first names. And it's more of an old style form of education.
Kind of similar, but kind of different. I think there's a lot more freedom here. Milford was very strict, I guess.
How much of that gossip is true? Are we just picking out the bad in rival schools to make ourselves feel better about our own school?
I think Milford is more of a conventional high school, whereas Souhegan is what they call it, a co-op high school, where you get to know your teachers more, but I feel like all their teachers, it's like what you see in the movies, like the most conventional, basic high school where a bunch of kids go. The lockers are all along the hallways, very different than Souhegan.
The towns are different. So Milford, I think, is more of a small city in some ways, and Souhegan has Mount Vernon and Amherst, which are more like suburbs. So there's a little bit different feel of
We
culture.
call our teachers by our first name. There we don't do that. Classes, we don't have double blocks there in Milford, or they don't have double blocks there. I think the scheduling's kind of different too.
Yeah, Souhegan, you get a good education, you actually, things are learned at school, whereas Milford, haven't heard great things about school there, and people are better at Souhegan.
How much of all the gossip about our schools are true? Are we just picking out the bad in rival schools to make ourselves feel better about our own school? Why is this rivalry so strong that when someone mentions the words Milford High School, everyone says ugh, or something I probably shouldn't say in this video?
People aren't very nice. I don't really know that many of them, but the ones I do know, I don't know. They just don't seem like cool people. School sucks there. So
The people,
specifically.
I really hate the people, but they've got really nice restaurants. Well, not really nice, but the restaurants have good food, and I like all the buildings in there. They're old and kind of rustic, but just the people have always just come off with a bad vibe from me.
The soccer field. I coach soccer, boys soccer, and I have for a few years now. I'm an assistant coach. And Milford has a soccer field that's kind of crammed in to an area where there's not very much space. And so the field's a little smaller than it should be. And when the ball goes off the field, it rolls across the road and down into the woods. There's no fence around it. There are no bleachers, so there's no easy place for fans to sit. And we look right across the soccer field to this nice football stadium with bleachers, a nice big field and lights. There's no lights on the Milford field, which means we can't play an evening game. We can only play afternoon games. So I don't like that Milford doesn't treat soccer better.
Kind of how they are towards us, like they kind of, or how we are towards each other. I think there's like a lot of unnecessary drama.
I feel like since we call them by their first name, the teachers are more of a friend, I guess, and they're a lot more helpful and nice to us and teach us very.
I really like all of them. They're really friendly, and they want to, like I said, they want to help you do your best and really help you succeed in school.
Well, I know Tom Sawyer, teacher here at Souhegan, who's a friend of mine, and he lives in Milford. Sends his kids to school in Milford, so I know Tom and Jolene.
I live in Milford now. Yep, I've lived in Milford. Let's see, 15 years. But I lived in Amherst as a kid for about 15 years. Area Senior High, MASH, as they called it back in the day. I've never taught there. I did coach there. I coached wrestling at Milford High for a year back in the early 90s, and then I currently coach the middle school. We've had really good experiences with the teachers there, and they love their school. It's been a very good experience. Kid, I played football for the Amherst Patriots as a little guy, and we used to play Milford, and it was a big rivalry. And so I understand it. But then when we got to Milford High School, we became teammates with those guys. So the kids who were your big enemies a year earlier were now your teammates and friends. So it quickly goes away. But now, I coach my daughter, and all her friends, they think, Amherst or soon to be Souhegan is the big rival, and here I know them very well, my daughter and her friends, and of course I teach you guys. So to me it's just kind of funny to watch it, how the students react to each other, and I think it makes me think a lot about how great it was, or what a great mix it was of kids, because this rivalry, and sometimes it'll get heated or nasty at times, and I think, if you guys knew each other and were in school together, there'd be a lot of friendships where there are now kind of these rivalries. When Amherst and Milford and Mount Vernon all went to Milford High, probably for sports, probably our main rivals were Merrimack and Bishop Girton. And it was kind of funny because you'd always have, when we would play football, for instance, there'd be kids we knew who went to Girton, and it was that could get kind of heated. But yeah, in terms of the Milford, Amherst, Mount Vernon mix, everybody got along for the most part. It was a great mix.
So I guess our real question is Souhegan actually better than Milford?